another episode of Better Pet Parenting. This time we're going to speak to Purvaja from Humans of Canines. Purvaja is a canine trainer. She also does something interesting around therapy with dogs. We're going to bring her on and we're going to hear about her story, what she's up to now. And we're going to do something a little different this time. What we're going to do is this session, we've actually identified questions already, and we are going to focus on the top 5 mistakes you can make as a dog parent, and Purvaja is going to tell us how to watch out for those. So I'm just going to ask her to join. So she joins as well. Hi!
Hi!
Hello!
Hi!
Bright and sunny.
Yes, it is quite bright and sunny today here.
So, Purvaja, I was just introducing you to everybody, and I think it would be even better if you can tell us a little bit about Humans of Canines and where you are right now, because I'm sure people are wondering, ये India तो नहीं लग रहा है.
ये इंडिया तो नहीं है, unfortunately, but yes. So I'm Purvaja, and I know Garima would have introduced Humans of Canines, but I'll introduce myself. I'm a canine trainer and a behaviorist, trained under Shirin Merchant and John Rogerson. I've been practicing canine training for quite some time. I became a behaviorist recently, last year actually. Also practicing animal assisted therapy in schools, universities, hospitals, in Delhi primarily. And right now I'm in UK. So I'm in Cambridge at the moment. The recent development in my life is I got married. So yes, so that brings me to UK. So Humans of Canines is both India as well as UK operations. So I'm doing a lot of online training for my clients from India, from the UK, and I'm also going to start training in person here in UK, moving to London soon. So a lot is happening.
Awesome.
Yes.
Our loss. And brain drain हो गया दोबारा.
नहीं मैं आऊंगी. यहाँ पे खुद खाना बनाना होता है. So I'm going to be there soon. Yes.
Awesome. So I am personally the most interested in knowing more about also animal assisted therapy. But I think we should go piece by piece, right? First, you said you were a trainer and now you've become a behaviorist.
Yes.
Quickly, if you can touch upon what the difference is between the two.
Sure. So I first did the course under Shirin Merchant, which was Canine Trainers course, where we focused on basic obedience, basically how to teach your puppy to behave. Whether it's in real situations, like not just about commands like sit kar liya, high five kar liya. That's something that you teach in any case. But what is the main purpose behind it? Which is mental stimulation, getting the dog to do what the dog is supposed to do, which is the innate behavior. Trying to understand your dog better, and of course, in real situations, having control over your dog. When I say control, it doesn't really mean the alpha concept that a lot of people use. Having control over your dog is just like when your dog really bonds with you and listens to you. So that's what the canine trainer course focused on, and that's what a canine trainer does. Makes a puppy a good puppy, makes a human a good human for the puppy.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes. Of course, behaviorist is when there are issues with the dog. Whether it's because of inappropriate training, whether it's because of some history of the dog which causes, say, some sort of anxiety, any sort of behavioral issues that needs to be corrected. So it could be as simple as going to a vet, which could cause a lot of anxiety to for your dog. Correcting that to maybe separation anxiety, because nowadays you get to see a lot of cases like that where where pet parents have been spending time with their puppies for a very, very long time, and then now they're all stepping out, and you have all these whiny puppies and whiny pet parents. So so that falls under behavior, when there is behavior modification after a set of issues that a dog experiences. A step further from training. Yes.
Awesome. So level up.
Yeah. I think both of them go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's true.
Understand your dog, I think, and of course training also. So behavior also comprises of training. So you need to know, you need to understand the dog's behavior in order to train. So I think both complement each other.
And animal assisted therapy, what is that beast?
Okay, animal assisted therapy is slightly technical in terms of it's the other way around, where you use an animal in a therapeutic setting, where you it could be a dog, cat. These days they use reptiles. Horses are very famous in the UK and in the US. So basically there are certain set objectives or goals that need to be achieved for a therapeutic purpose. Say, for example, a child who's been diagnosed of autism. So how can the dog or the animal used in a therapeutic setup help achieve those specific goals? It has a more psychological sort of context. It requires a lot of background knowledge. It's not just about taking a dog to a setting and asking people to pet the dog and smile, but you work alongside psychologists, psychotherapists. You work with medical professionals in order to achieve those medical goals for the patient, and also has to be fun for the dog, because it's after all a job for a dog.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to. In fact, I'm sure the animal has to go through a lot of training as well, right? Even the reptiles and the horses, which I had no idea are also used for this. I was only thinking like cuddly dogs and cats and all, but
I know. I mean, having a dog itself feels very therapeutic. It doesn't fall under animal assisted therapy, because that's a more systematic scientific process. But you know how we all have a dog, and just coming back home, hugging and kissing your dog makes you feel just nice about the day. So yes, that's different, but yes, both achieve a certain purpose in life.
So that's that's amazing. Every time I do one of these sessions, I come out feeling like, why did nobody tell me that this was an option in life? That I could have gone down this path.
You
and then,
still can.
So different. I probably will. I feel like I'm just doing this to convince myself.
Absolutely. See, there's no right time to do it. The right time is when you really want to do it. I did 2 masters. I completed masters. I started working. I worked for 10 years in the area of health, mental health, and research. And then I kept thinking that, okay, I need to do something where I'm constantly happy, which is to be with dogs. FYI, you're not constantly happy when you're training dogs of other people. But
I'm sure. Yes. If work is work.
Yes.
But if I'm sure the conditions are a lot better.
Yeah.
Awesome. So like we discussed, right, this session we're going to use to kind of get your expertise into things that you've seen over the years that people typically tend to make mistakes around, right? And when we say mistakes, of course, these are honest things that you don't realize can become problems, and maybe that's where the behavior part of your expertise comes in as well, right? That if the basic training that you kind of given goes awry in some way, that's where you see in the future that there might be problems in behavior. So what I'm going to do is I'll just start question by question. For anybody who's logged in right now, we're going to go through 5 problems. I'll just quickly list them once. The first one is going to be when you see your dog jumping to greet people and people tend to get scared. The second is going to be when you chase your dog for the ball and you realize that anytime they're also picking at something that is valuable, they think it's a game, right? Third is people tend to think that dogs will understand when you punish them after doing something wrong, and we'll talk about why that is an issue as well. Fourth is dogs that are let off leash without any kind of recall training, and this can have a bunch of problems, like even losing your dog, which is an extreme case, but I'm sure a lot more that you can kind of speak about. And the fifth is, I think, my personal favorite, which is that I used to have this impression as well growing up that acha trainer aaya, so the trainer will be the one who trains the dog and the dog will learn in those 5 sessions or 10 sessions and then I don't have to do anything, which I feel is the biggest fallacy that we need to educate people about. Awesome. So I'll just start with the first one, right, which is mistake number 1, which is when your dog jumps to greet people and you don't know how to stop it. Care to elaborate what the problem is and how and when you should kind of be wary of stopping that?
Okay. Yeah, I think I want to reword. I don't know if it's mistakes by people, but one thing that every pet parent needs to realize, and it takes time, and I totally understand that it's very difficult for humans to think of it from the dog's perspective, because after all, we are human. So what happens is we think of it as, oh, bacha hai, or and then we let go of a lot of things before we realize, okay, the dog is so big and now the dog is jumping and he can actually knock off people. And this is exactly what I keep telling pet parents is, listen, I know you love your dog and you have to love your dog, but love your dog for the species that it is. So, I mean, treat your dog like a dog and not as a human. So there is a need for discipline. I'm not an expert in human parenting yet, but I can certainly say that discipline is important for all. So when a dog comes to greet you, the moment you come inside the house, the dog comes and greets you, jumps on you, and you're like, oh, good boy, oh yeah, I missed you too, oh yes, I missed you too, and you keep attending to that, and the dog is jumping on you, you let the dog lick your face, you let the dog jump, pull things, and you enjoy it initially, yes. What happens then is the next day, your neighbor comes home, rings the bell, petrified of dog. The dog does the exact same thing to the neighbor. Now what you do is, the moment the dog does that, you're like, come on, no, how can you do this? Come on, no. And you start yanking, you pull, you apologize to the neighbor has face. That whole scene happens. What did the dog learn? The dog doesn't realize what it did because you just let the dog do exactly same thing to you the day before. And the dog was absolutely enjoying it because you were giving all the attention. So I tell pet parents that, listen, if you want to see a change in your dog, or if you want the dog to behave a certain way, let the dog behave that way with you first. Things don't change with other people. So for the dog that jumping is wrong, you should make the dog realize that. The best way to do that is when you enter the house, if the dog is jumping on you, you don't pay attention to the dog. So you enter the house, the dog jumps in you, you look till the dog has all his 4 paws on the ground, you don't pet the dog. So that's as simple as that. So attend to something that's positive. Attend to a positive behavior displayed by the dog. And if there are neighbors coming home, as simple as just giving your dog a sit command, petting your dog at the moment when someone else enters is a simple thing that you can practice with your dog, because that's when the dog realizes, okay, I get all the love, I get all the affection when I don't jump. But when I jump, he will look at me. So that's how it should.
And I feel
Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like, while you were talking, and I was just thinking about it and kind of drawing a parallel, I feel like a lot this specific issue also happens because we tend to have these boundaries in our families, right? That I can be a certain way with my parents and my siblings, but obviously bahar walon ke sath will be different, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like we transfer that onto dogs as well, ki thinking, acha, with me it's fine. It's fine if you scratch me a little bit also. It's
Yeah.
okay, but you have to know that you can't do it. Obviously, the dog doesn't know that. So
Not
I feel
just
like,
not just
yeah,
between two different families, but within the family. So if you see a lot of times, like my husband allows my dog to jump on the bed. My husband allows the dog to lick the face, but I don't like it. Why does he do it to me? That doesn't work. If you are going to have a dog, please sit as a family and have a set of rules that's common for
yeah,
every family member.
yeah.
Dog को भी होगा अच्छा husband. So you can't do
Even
that.
even when it extends to grandparents, right? Like I was thinking about how one of our dogs when she was a puppy, um, she used to leap up like this, right? And what happened, unfortunately, is one time she did it to my grandmother, and she fell,
Oh,
and that's when it became like an issue that the dog cannot be managed. So now we have to do something. Now we have to figure it out, whatever, whatever. And
absolutely.
that's what you don't realize as well, right? We have these boundaries कि अच्छा, you have to respect elders, थोड़ा सा ये, keep a
Exactly.
little bit of a distance. Obviously, the dog doesn't know. He will think कि अच्छा, humans ऐसे हैं तो ऐसे ही करना है. So
Exactly.
yeah, I mean, I think really well put, and I think hopefully this is something that people will watch and kind of learn from as well.
Start home. Yes.
Awesome. So then let's go on to the second one, right? Which is chasing your dog for the ball. What are your thoughts on this one?
So this is purely a learned behavior, okay? There is a very common scenario, and I know that mostly people would have noticed this. So you're sitting and working on your laptop, and your puppy is like roaming around. The puppy picks up a toy and then starts playing with it. You look at the puppy and like, oh, okay, and you continue working on the laptop. What happens after 5 minutes? The puppy's like, this person is not attending to me. The puppy goes, picks up your favorite footwear. The moment he does that, you're like, oh my god! You shut the laptop and you start chasing the puppy. What does the puppy learn here? The puppy learns that, oh my god, to get this person's attention, I have to always pick up her chappals. This is very, very common. And then you chase the puppy. And then you run with the puppy is hiding, and then it's this whole process of holding the puppy and then pulling it out of the puppy's mouth. Now the puppy has learned that, okay, this is the best way to get this person's attention, and this is the best way to play with this person. So every time, even when you throw the ball, the puppy refuses to give it back. The puppy just runs with it, and then you chase the puppy. The other mistake that people do, which is again connected, is to pull things out of the puppy's mouth. Now, there are two things that happen. The puppies never learn to drop it or share the toy with you. So eventually what happens is the puppy starts like holding it in his mouth and stops giving it to you. Eventually, which could lead to a behavioral issue, which is possessive aggression. The moment you take the hand to the mouth, the puppy goes, I'm not going to give it to you. So that could happen. Two, the puppies never learned to fetch. The puppy is like constantly running and turned that into a game. And it's not just a ball. Anything that the puppy picks up is going to run away from you, wanting you to chase. And that's where the problem starts. So if you're going to train your dog, first thing that you train your dog to do is share the toy, give it to you. You have to train yourself, which you have to, is pay attention. If you had paid attention to the dog when the dog had held the toy and said, oh, good puppy, such a good job, yes, come to me, and then ignored the dog when the dog actually picked up the chappal, it would have made a lot of difference. So stop chasing your dog and turning that into a game. If your dog does that, the dog has already trained you to do so. So stop chasing your dog, teach your dog to drop the toy and play with you instead.
Yeah, and it's the trick is when you say it like this, it's so simple to get, right? But before you actually are in a situation like this, it's so counterintuitive because obviously, if the dog is picking up my phone or my dog at home, has this thing where he'll pick up my AirPods.
Oh
Okay,
God.
and the first few times I was just like, oh my God, his saliva is gonna get inside. And
Yeah.
then, I snapped into it, "Acha, this is what I'm teaching him. He will only pick this up again and again." Then I started ignoring him. Also like crossing my fingers, please, please don't let the AirPods get spoiled. But that's the trick, that you really have to do the opposite of what you will instinctually do.
Or
And
do
that's how you,
the same thing when he does something.
every time.
So
Yeah,
your reaction when he picks up the AirPods, just record it. It might be like over the top, so it can be like, oh my God! But just start doing that when he picks up the ball, and
correct.
that's the trick.
Yeah, that's why I just feel like, like getting a dog is such a masterclass in patience.
Oh,
All these anger I know you do assisted, animal therapy, but I think animal assisted therapy, but I think they would also be great tools for like anger management and just generally developing patience, because if you do this for like 2-3 weeks, you're
oh,
sorted, then you can handle a lot of.
absolutely. But I wonder what the dogs must be thinking. I mean, they have to like, constantly trick you into doing things because, like,
I'm sure there'll be like levels
dogs
of training for dogs also.
yeah,
Levels of training for dogs कि मैं कैसे irritate करूँ और let me figure out.
yeah.
Awesome. So cool. So then we'll go on to the next one, which is personal favorite of mine, because my mom likes to do this, right? Which is punishing your dog after they did something wrong. Like she'll have like this long dialogue.
Yeah.
Why did you do this? Beta samajh nahi aata. And my dog will also sit there like it's an actual, like, he's understanding and listening, and she'll go away feeling like, wow, he listens to me. तुम्हें लगता है कि नहीं सुनता. But please translate for my mom.
I saw this at home also. My mom would rant in Tamil, and then my dog would go like tung, tung, like head to head, like see, he's getting it. It's like no, but yeah. But I guess this is very common. You all must have seen these Instagram videos where the dog has chewed up the furniture, and then the pet parent enters and like, who did this? Who did this? And there's this long video of the dog curling up his tail and going under the sofa, and it's like, see, this is a guilty dog. The dog is not guilty. The dog doesn't care about your furniture to start with. The dog is just reacting to your reaction. So if you're punishing your dog, if you're scolding your dog, and the dog kind of makes a face that's out of stress because the dog doesn't like the way you're behaving at the moment. So you're like, oh, and then the dog is like, okay. And trust me, you can scold your dog without using like any appropriate words. You can even say, are you a good boy? Good boy, good boy. I mean, the words don't matter to your dog. So any sort of scolding doesn't really work. Of course, you have to be firm with the dog. But punishment in doggy world is more about ignoring. That is withdrawal of reward. There are just two ways. One is reward and withdrawal of reward. So that's the two systems that work in a doggy world, which happens from say puppyhood, when the dog is actually born and has like fights with a sibling. The dog that does something wrong gets ignored by the siblings, and that's when the dog realizes, okay, I don't get to play if I behave this way. They're not looking at me. So yes, you have to have a firm no, you have to have boundaries, you have to have discipline, but withdrawing rewards is what I would say works. For just an example,
Yeah.
if your dog pees on your carpet, a lot of pet parents.
Very relevant example in my life right now.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, wow. What do you do when your dog pees on the carpet?
Nothing. I clean it and then I just keep a lookout. Okay, please don't pee. And I mean, my way of thinking about it is that I made the mistake because I didn't take her out, obviously, at the right time.
Good.
But I have gotten it only after like speaking to all of you guys on IGTV and figuring it out. But what is a typical reaction, and then, I mean, what should people do?
Oh, it's extreme reactions. One is this rolling up newspaper, which is very famous in India. I still don't know what to do in the UK, but rolling up the newspaper, picking up the puppy, taking it close to the pee, and then making the puppy sniff the newspaper and say, "Karega ye dobara tak, karega ye dobara." So okay, some people say, "Oh no, I don't hit the dog. I just show the newspaper and that's enough." That never works. So what really happens here is, one is the dog goes to the pee, sniffs it, and if you've not given enough attention to the dog is like, okay, every time I do this, I get her attention. Even though, so dogs don't differentiate between negative and positive attention. It doesn't really matter. So the dog is like, okay, so yeah, I mean, I have to do this every time I want her attention. So I'm going to pee on the carpet only. So the dog learns. Two, if the dog gets really scared of it, the dog is going to be like, okay, I don't think she likes me peeing here, so I'm going to pee when she's not watching. So I'm going to go behind the curtain, behind the sofa where she doesn't see anything. I'm going to go and sneak. This is going to be a sneak pee. So I'm going to do that. So what happens in this whole process is either the dog is really scared or the dog seeks attention. Never works. You catch the dog peeing, that's when you can actually, like, you can be like, no, come on, no, come. So you take the dog to the right spot, the dog does pee in the right spot, you're like, oh, good boy, yes, that's what dog said. Just clean it up. Hit yourself with the newspaper is what she did. You missed it, not the dog.
So, okay, so takeaway is, you can't really do anything if it's already happened and you notice after. Either correct in the act or, I mean, constant vigilance is the way to go.
It's actually very easy to puppy train, to actually toilet train your dog. It's not very difficult. It's just, you need to take out at least 7 to 10 days. And dogs are very active and they can easily get it. As an accident mistake is yours, not the dog's.
Yeah, no, in fact, I find that typically, the only times we've seen accidents now, we've of course had Sriracha now for a couple of months. We've only seen them either when we've changed the schedule a little bit, or, if we've traveled and then there's some break, or she doesn't get her regular breaks. And then, of course, there's an upset thing where we don't really know. But I mean, if you kind of are looking out for these things, I feel like it is a pretty, you're right, it's an easy thing to do. Awesome. So then on to the next one, which is letting your dog off leash with no recall. मुझे तो बहुत डर लगता है. I don't know how people are able to do this. I'm just scared that my dog will run away. And she's done this a couple of times. She's run out of our flat, and I've had to chase after her in the colony. And again, she thinks it's a game. But in that situation, I can't even be calm.
Why does she run from you?
No, but I think she heard somebody bark outside. I mean, one of the dogs only barked, not like someone. But I think she thought it was a distress call or something like that, and then she just ran. And I made the mistake of also panicking and running after her, and she thought, "Acha, we're going for a run." But
people are not fun enough for dogs these days. So they're like, so make yourself fun to start with the recall exercise, which is the first, and I feel everyone should teach their dog. Good recall is extremely, extremely important. It's going to help you, I mean, throughout, even when the dog is much older, you need to have a good recall. Now that I'm comparing dogs here in the UK and in India, one is pet parents who are extremely irresponsible in India, who leave the dogs off leash in an environment which is not safe for them, which is not safe for them, which is not safe for even other dogs. And it's very common, you will meet these people who are walking dogs like, "Arey, kuch nahi karega, kuch nahi karega." It's not about kuch nahi karega. It's like a lot of things can happen. So if you plan to leave your dogs off leash, make sure that the environment is conducive. It's fenced. There aren't other dogs. The dog has a good recall, and also there are people who there are fewer people, and your dog is trained enough to come to you and go down sniffing other people and other dogs. So that's extremely important, which is what I noticed here. So people have extremely strong bond with their dogs. So the dogs don't wander off, which is extremely. So the one
and that's
yeah.
Sorry. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I mean, the one good thing here is recall is extremely important if you have to take your dog to a dog park also. So I would really encourage getting the recall command in place before you leave your dogs off leash. Also, when you leave your dogs off leash, make sure you have the correct environment for that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's a really important point as well. Just so that people have an idea of how, what kind of training and how long it typically takes till you should feel that you are ready, right? I mean, what's a sign of success that now I can probably try off leash, right? Because I feel like that benchmark also, I mean, I'm a little fuzzy about it as well, which is why I'm scared of doing it at all. But yeah.
Also, I don't know, it's a very India thing that they're like, oh my god, I want an off-leash time. Listen, if your dog is bonded with you, even if your dog is on leash, it's absolutely fine. So it's not like you bandh ke nahi rakha. There's no such thing. So people start feeling sorry for dogs that are on leash. That's not how it is. If your dog is like bonded with you, the dog is like listening to you. Even if you have like slack leash and you're walking the dog is absolutely fine, like walking on leash.
Yeah, it's like holding hands.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, it might get slightly irritating at times. Okay, I should not be the one
saying no sweaty palms, it's fine.
Yeah, I just got married like a month ago. I should not be saying this, but then but yeah, I feel like there could be like moments where you leave your dog on a long leash, like a very long leash where the dog is like wandering off for a bit, coming back, getting to sniff, but you have control over it. So say 5 to 10 minutes, you can leave the dog. So when you start training your dog for recall, start indoors, take small steps. So from one end of the room to the other end of the room, to one room to the other, and then going to the driveway. Start playing with the dog. Say hide and seek is an amazing game. And please don't use food for recall. That's the biggest mistake people do, because if you use food for recall, you just turn into a food dispenser, like John Rogerson says. So the dog is never going to come to you if you don't have food. That's not what you're supposed to do. So the dog is supposed to come to you for you, not for the food.
Got it. So one sign of success definitely is that they should be coming to you regardless of whether you're giving them food at the end of it, right? So even though you may start with a lure or whatever treats, but you should be at a stage where they're not coming for the food.
You can start with body language. You can see the difference if you're just calling, say, my dog is Choco, and if I say Choco, 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 and I see a lot of pet parents doing that. Choco, come, Choco, 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 Choco. Choco's like, I don't care. I want to chase that squirrel. And if I make myself more fun than squirrel, then I'm like, Choco, come here, yay! And then I'm like, oh my god, that's more fun. That's something I want to go to. So that's what you're supposed to do. Change your body language. There's no need to have like treats in your hand, even when you start.
Yeah. Awesome. So basically, you have to be more entertaining than the environment as well, if you really want to leave your dog off leash.
Yes, absolutely. So if your dog is running out, going somewhere, I just feel like, Garima, you're not fun enough. If you watch a lot of Bollywood movies and make yourself all animated. Yeah.
I do. I need to work on that. My creation skills.
Yes.
Awesome. So then we'll move on to the next one, which is, I'm sure, your favorite, which is inconsistent training, or thinking that your trainer will fix your dog, as if there is something to fix.
Okay. Yes. So when people ask me, so right now specifically, when They say, oh, online training, but you won't be there. I was like, why am I needed? Am I going to spend time with your dog? No, you are the one who's going to spend time. In fact, online training works really well because the pet parent themselves are training dogs. Now, compared to yes, to a large extent, some people are extremely responsible, doing it really well. Some people have been driven to a stage where they're like, okay, I'll have to do it. But then eventually they realize the whole purpose of training. So training is not really training is not like one-off things, you know. It's not like you're going into a classroom, you learn 5 steps and then you come back and you implement it, or one of our degrees which we never used. It's not like that. It's like I'm speaking just for me, but but it's more like a way of life. So if you have a dog, wouldn't you want your dog to listen to you when there are other people? Wouldn't you want your dog to be never bitten by other dogs or never be attacked by other dogs because your dog stayed with you? Wouldn't you want to take your dog to a trek and or to a holiday? And all that everyone asks for is very simple. No one's asking for anything jazzy. Everyone's asking for a dog that just listens to the pet parent at the right time. So if the dog has to listen to the pet parent, where is the trainer coming? I mean, the trainer is only assisting the pet parent to, that's where the trainer's job stops. If the trainer has established that, the trainer is extremely successful. I can come to your house and I can do online training, but if I'm going to come to your house, say twice a week for one hour, and I've seen this, you know, pet parents calling me, हमने trainer रखा था, पता है वो उसको नमस्ते भी सिखाया उसने, which is I still don't know the reason why.
संस्कार बड़े important हैं.
नमस्ते भी सिखाया, वो नमस्ते भी करता है, but वो हमारी सुनता ही नहीं है. So the whole point is these trainers come home, take the dog away from the pet parents, take them outside in somewhere, and then they start training and then bring the dog back. The dog doesn't listen to the pet parent because the pet parent has never learned to train the dog. So if you want a well-behaved dog, if you feel that you want a dog that just constantly obeys in your words or bonds with you, you need to train the dog. A trainer doesn't fix the dog. Seek help. I always encourage, whether it's online, whether it's offline, consult a behaviorist, consult a trainer. But remember, you are the one who's going to spend your life with your dog, and you are the one who's supposed to be your dog's best friend, not the trainer.
Yeah, and like you said in the beginning, right? It's not about control. It's about building that bond. And I mean, you can have a coach, like, you know, how you can have a relationship coach, but at the end of it, it has to be you and your dog working on it together. So whether it's training, whether it's spending time together, doing things where both of you have fun, whether it's learning how to be more entertaining so that you are more interesting than squirrels, that's on you. So,
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, ask yourself, why did you get the dog in the first place? You got it for your maid, you got it for your trainer, you got it for your kids. What was the reason? And I'm sure it's never for the trainer. You got your dog for yourself. So if the dog is for yourself, has to be your companion, work towards it.
Yeah, I think that's such a beautiful note to end this on. I don't think we could have planned it better. But
I think we did.
Yeah.
That's how it ended.
I know. And we're actually getting a lot of other questions also now. But what I'll do is, since we've basically covered the 5 things that we wanted to cover, I will get back to you guys through DMs. And if there's anything that we need help on Purvaja as well, I will definitely ask her. Although I'm sure she's already got like all these basics, and she will just forward the content to me and I will send it along to you guys.
Done.
But yeah, thank you so much, Purvaja, for doing this.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, and looking forward to everything that you have in store for us now when you're in the UK and whenever you come back.
I'll do that. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.